I had always believed in the sanctity of our marriage. 4 years, our relationship had been a tapestry of shared dreams, mutual respect, and unwavering trust. We had built a life together, one filled with laughter, challenges, and countless memories. But lately, subtle changes began to surface, casting shadows over our once bright union. It started with her sudden late nights at work, the unexplained absences, and the guarded phone conversations that ceased the moment I entered the room. Her once warm and open demeanor had become distant and evasive. The intimacy we once shared dwindled, replaced by a coldness that left me yearning for the connection we had lost. I tried to dismiss these feelings, attributing them to the natural ebb and flow of a long-term relationship. But the nagging suspicion refused to be silenced. I began to notice inconsistencies in her stories, the way she avoided eye contact when discussing her day, and the unfamiliar scent that lingered on her clothes. Determined to uncover the truth, I started paying closer attention. I checked her phone when she was in the shower, only to find messages deleted and call logs cleared. Her social media activity became sparse, and she no longer shared the details of her day with me. The woman I had known for years was becoming a stranger before my eyes. Medium. One evening, she mentioned attending a colleague's birthday party. Her tone was casual, but I sensed an underlying tension. She insisted it was a work event, and spouses weren't invited. I nodded, feigning understanding, but my mind raced with questions. That night, as she prepared to leave, I watched her from the doorway. She wore a dress I hadn't seen before, one that accentuated her figure in a way that seemed calculated. Her makeup was flawless, and she appeared more radiant than she had in months. I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just a simple office gathering. After she left, I sat in silence, the weight of uncertainty pressing down on me. I contemplated calling her, asking for more details, but I knew it would only lead to further evasion. Instead, I decided to find out for myself. I reached out to a mutual friend who worked at the same company. Casually, I inquired about the party, expressing interest in surprising my wife. The friend hesitated but eventually provided the venue's name. Armed with this information, I prepared to confront the truth, whatever it might be. As I drove to the location, my mind was a whirlwind of emotions: fear, anger, sadness, and a glimmer of hope that I was wrong. The venue was a lavish hall, adorned with lights and filled with elegantly dressed guests. I scanned the crowd, searching for her familiar face. Then I saw her, laughing and dancing with a man I didn't recognize. Their closeness, the way they looked at each other, it was undeniable. My heart sank, and a cold numbness enveloped me. The woman I loved, the one I had shared my life with, was here with someone else. I stood there, rooted to the spot, as the reality of her betrayal washed over me. The noise of the party faded into the background, replaced by the deafening silence of heartbreak. In that moment, I knew our lives would never be the same again. As I stood at the entrance of the lavish hall, the ambient music and laughter seemed distant. My eyes were fixed on her, my wife, dancing intimately with a man I didn't recognize. Their closeness, the way they looked at each other, confirmed my worst fears. Summoning courage, I stepped into the crowd, weaving through guests until I was just a few feet away. The moment she saw me, her face turned pale, and her laughter ceased. The man beside her looked confused, glancing between us. "Enjoying the party?" I asked, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "Medium. +8. Time. +8. BuzzFeed. +8. She stammered. What are you doing here? I thought I'd surprise you." "Seems I did." People.com. +3. Brightside. +3. InStyle. +3. The man, sensing the tension, excused himself. I watched him disappear into the crowd before turning my attention back to her. "How long has this been going on?" I inquired. She looked down, unable to meet my gaze. "It's not what it looks like." "Then explain it to me. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like my wife is having an affair." India Forums. +3. Ula. +3. People.com. +3. Tears welled up in her eyes. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen. It just did. In style. +1. en.wikipedia.org. +1. You didn't mean for it to happen? You made choices every step of the way. Don't diminish it by calling it an accident. She reached out, but I stepped back. Please, let's talk about this privately. No. The time for private conversations was before you decided to betray our vows. With that, I turned and walked away, leaving her amidst the crowd, her face a mixture of shock and regret. The drive home was a blur. My hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, as my mind replayed the scene at the party. Her laughter, the way she leaned into him, the shared glances, it was all too much. I had to confront her. I had to hear her explanation, though I feared it would be a lie. I arrived home to an empty house. She hadn't returned yet. I sat in the living room, waiting, the silence pressing in on me. The door creaked open, and she stepped inside, her eyes meeting mine with a mixture of guilt and apprehension. "Where were you?" I asked, my voice steady but cold. She hesitated, then spoke. "I was at the party. You saw me." "With him," I added, my words sharp. She flinched, but nodded. "Yes." I stood up, facing her. "How long has this been going on?" She looked away, unable to meet my gaze. "It's not what you think." "Then explain it to me," I demanded. "Tell me how this isn't what it looks like." She took a deep breath, her shoulders sagging. "I don't know. It just happened." "Just happened?" I echoed, incredulous. "You chose to be with him. You chose to betray me." Tears welled up in her eyes. "I'm sorry. I never meant for it to go this far." "Sorry?" I repeated, my voice rising. "Sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't erase the pain you've caused." She reached out, but I stepped back. "Don't touch me." "I love you," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I never wanted to hurt you." I shook my head. "Love isn't supposed to hurt like this." She fell to her knees, sobbing. "Please, don't leave me." I stood there, torn between the woman I loved and the betrayal she had inflicted. "I don't know if I can forgive you." The words hung in the air, heavy and final. I turned and walked away, leaving her on the floor, her cries echoing in the empty house. The days that followed were a blur of silence and tension. I retreated into myself, grappling with the betrayal that had shattered my trust. She, on the other hand, seemed to be in a state of constant remorse, her every action an attempt to atone for her transgressions. We avoided each other, the weight of unspoken words hanging between us. The once warm and familiar spaces of our home now felt cold and alien. I found myself questioning everything, our past, our love, and the very foundation of our relationship. One evening, as I sat alone in the living room, she approached me cautiously. Her eyes were red from crying, and her voice trembled as she spoke. "I know I can't undo what I've done," she began, "but I am truly sorry. I never meant to hurt you." I looked at her, my heart heavy with conflicting emotions. "Sorry doesn't change what happened," I replied, my voice devoid of warmth. She nodded, accepting my words without argument. "I understand. I just want you to know that I regret my actions deeply." We sat in silence for a long while, the only sound being the soft ticking of the clock on the wall. It was clear that healing would not come easily, if at all. In the weeks that followed, we attempted to communicate, but the conversations were strained and often ended in tears. The trust that once bound us had been irrevocably broken, and no amount of apologies seemed sufficient to mend the rift. I sought solace in solitude, spending long hours reflecting on our relationship and what had led us to this point. I realized that while her betrayal had caused immense pain, it had also forced me to confront my own shortcomings and the complacency that had crept into our marriage. I began to focus on personal growth, engaging in activities that brought me joy and fulfillment. I reconnected with old friends and pursued hobbies that had long been neglected. Slowly, I started to rebuild my sense of self, independent of our fractured relationship. She, too, embarked on a journey of self-reflection. She attended therapy sessions, seeking to understand the reasons behind her actions and to work through the guilt and shame that plagued her. It was a painful process, but one that she approached with sincerity. Despite our individual efforts, the distance between us remained. The love we once shared had been tainted by betrayal, and the path to reconciliation seemed insurmountable. One day, after months of emotional turmoil, we sat down together to have an honest conversation. The air was thick with anticipation as we spoke candidly about our feelings and the future of our relationship. "I don't know if we can ever go back to what we were," I admitted, my voice heavy with sorrow. She reached out, her hand trembling as it rested on mine. "I don't know either," she whispered. "But I don't want to lose you." We sat in silence, the weight of our words settling between us. It was clear that our marriage had changed irreparably, but whether it would end or evolve into something new remained uncertain. The journey ahead was unclear, filled with challenges and emotional upheaval. But for the first time in months, we both felt a glimmer of hope, a hope that, with time and effort, healing might be possible.